Well, my hopes and dreams of making a lot of ranks this week, I think just went up in smoke last night with Preston absolutely dominating for those that bought him. And I'm very, very jealous considering he was one of my buys of the year, or the starting my team of the year last year at basement price. And he's dropped a bit of cash, obviously not a crazy amount. He's still averaging a tick under 50 there. Now he's up to 50 with the 83, but he's absolutely dominated last night with a turnover try saver along with 2 tries there to go along with his normal sort of 40 odd in base that he does get. So very, very impressive. Well done to those that did buy him. We've obviously got the Sam Hughes situation on the other side, and Karaz not scoring too well, but we'll get to those guys. Thankfully, I did end up tipping the Dogs. Got the first one wrong, the Eels over the Sharks, and I'm kind of been flailing a little bit with my tips the last weekend a little bit, but that one definitely helped there. And congrats to the Dogs for a great win, and for the night side, it was a very, very poor effort, I should say, on their side of things. Elliott with a 75 in that 61 minutes there. Worked out really well for him, and he was one of those guys I kept imploring all of you guys to hold on to. Mid is a very, very tough situation, and especially given that the Knights only missed round 16 there, he's a very, very important guy to have, even if he does score a sort of a 40-odd average there, which is greatly improved with the 75 here and absolutely dominated with a turnover, try saver, big tackle numbers there at 44 for 1 miss as well. It wasn't a very high-scoring game, this one, but we did get some good minutes out of Kaipi's Paul, Curran, and Dane Gagai as well. So Kaipi's Paul with his 53 in the full 80 there, with Frizzell mainly playing through the middle, so that helps out him. And obviously Dylan Lucas there, we got 45 tackles out of him, an offload, 4 tackle breaks. Very low on the run meter side, but obviously the Dogs had plenty of ball in this one and were able to dominate possession and the scoring side of things. So yeah, congrats. Happy with Kaipi's Paul. We'll be holding him now until 16, I think, and then make our decisions from there unless he was to get benched or dropped out of this side. Joshy Curran with the 52 did a good job. Obviously picked up a try there off a kick and 29 tackles for 1 miss. A little bit lower, but yes, again, they had plenty of balls, so 136 meters gained for him in that 66 minutes. So he came on in sort of the 14th minute for Sammy Hughes, and then he ended up playing the rest of the game. They obviously had an injury to Addo Carr, which shifted things as well, and kept Curran on there for the rest of the game, and obviously changed some of their substitutions there for sure. If you did buy him this week, you're happy with the 52. Good stuff from there. If you're a holder, you're a happy holder. Dane Gagai with 51 there with 11 tackle breaks. Very, very impressive there with 1 turnover tackle try saver as well. There's a few of them in this game, but not for players that I own, unfortunately. Gags there with 51. Really solid, and what we expect from him. A guy that's priced a tick under that 51. And yeah, you get a good score out of him here. Minutes. What a pain in the butt at the moment is for doggies forwards. The 2 doggies forwards that I own were some of the lowest minutes on their teams. That was pretty frustrating. Maxi King, thank goodness he can score. Had a nice PPM there. He was above that last week in his 49 minutes, but 47 minutes here in this one. It does seem to be that they're managing their forward minutes for the most part, except for sort of Reid Marnie, just plays 80 every week except last week as well. So he's still even got a rest in that scenario. But you just see even like Kurt Mann down there at 44. It's basically split in the 40s across the board. But for some reason, they want to, Gus Gould said that they're resting Hughes. He's a rookie it's a big season for him, blah, blah, blah. Bailey Hayward comes out and plays some of the biggest minutes over the last bunch of weeks for this side, and that's not a problem, apparently. So, yeah, it must just be to do with the type of player that they are, and if they think they're a workhorse long-term type of guy, big minute type of guy, or if they're not. So, yeah, Hayward with the 53 minutes, starting at the 13 role. That's kind of come out of nowhere as well in that scenario, but I'd love for King to be getting the Hayward minutes, that's for sure. That extra 6 or extra 8 would be great. But, yeah, thankful for the 47. It's almost where he's priced at, and we move on. Similar to that with Brayley, obviously did come off there. Elliott got a few more minutes this week than previous. We had Crossland come on fairly late. Obviously, played less than half a footy. But, he only moved into hooker for that last 11 minutes when Elliott came back on the park. But, 47 for Brayley with a forced dropout in there. Some good run meters. Yes, he had an error and 3 missed tackles. But, good tackle numbers outside of that. Anyway, so 47, very, very good. He outscored Reid Marnie. So that was a little bit of a win for me. For those that do own Reid, he was like 10 in 30-odd minutes and kind of turned things around, obviously, with a couple of try assists. He did have 3 penalties and 7 missed tackles. So back to some of those big negative numbers, and that just stopped him from getting in the 50s for this game, unfortunately. Still going to be the best hooker, I think, over this period for sure. You had Cogger with 46 as well. Bronson Sherry with a 46 for owners there. Really worked out in this buy round. Not sure how long you're going to hold him for, but he's averaging 35 for the season. Not the end of the world. Tracy with a 45, one of his better games at fullback there. Hutchison was on 30 odd very early, ended up at 41 with that one try assist. And he ended up being the main kicker, surprisingly, with Sexton there. So that really just pushes Sexton out of being a really good option, just for the fact that base is not going to be there. But if you held Hutcho all this way, you end up with a really nice score for you. Surprisingly, Frizzell has ended up being a sort of 30 to 45 minute type of middle forward here, which, wasn't expected over the last, month or so, but there's been rumours of it, but I thought he'd play bigger minutes than that, sort of in the closer to the 50 mark, but it wasn't to be. And still picked up a 40, a good PPM at that with offloads and tackle breaks. But the amount of penalties and everything that was going on in this game for some of these middles wasn't great. I mentioned Dylan Lucas being a really good pod play this week, and it didn't work out at all. He had his lowest of the year, of course he did. In this scenario, he still had a line break in there with 3 tackle breaks and 5 missed tackles as well, for 32 made on that front and only 79 meters gained. But again, he thrives obviously usually in an attacking role, but then defensively is usually a lot better than this as well. So 5 missed tackles, not good. He'll bounce back from that for sure. Addo Carr with the 2 try effort in these 45 minutes, a hamstring problem, struggled getting off the park as well. So hopefully he'll be okay going forward. But I do expect guys like Blake Wilson to keep that, to get on that wing now. When Crichton returns, go back to where they were before for sure. But 37 for him. Hastings at 36. He had Jacob Saifidi with that sin bin as well, 36. Greg Marzu, 151 meters, 10 tackle breaks. That was basically all of his scoring there, with a offload and a couple of errors to round that one out. So that was his at 35. Nothing special. Man, Leo Thompson, Hayward, Carraz there. So we end up having 8 tackles for 3 misses. We know that he seems to just do better on that wing. But you can say, look at this and say, well, Blake Wilson basically didn't do anything on that right wing. Just 92 meters gained, 5 tackles for 4 misses. So maybe Carraz would have missed those tackles anyway, and it would have cost him, points anyway. But 2 offloads to hand, 1 to ground, 162 meters gained, but no tackle breaks is pretty gross. And that's, we've had a really good run, Carraz, and hopefully that's just one blip in the radar there. And when Crichton returns, he'll get some better ball down that right-hand side in space like he has done the last month, which has been good. Jones with 27 minutes, so even him getting a little bit of a rest in this one. Hopoi, I'm not sure how to say that one yet, but he ended up to 27 in 38 minutes. He made 16, missed 5, so surprising that maybe because the game was done, they decided to give him an extra run, and that's maybe why they didn't give Hughes an extra, bit of game time as well. You had Toby Sexton, who also had a sin bin, so that obviously hurt his score, but still would have been a mid-30s type of score with only 153 meters gained and 5 missed tackles there. Some of the big news now into David Armstrong. If you did buy him this week, you're frustrated. If you've had him for a little while now, not the end of the world, but he had one of his poorer games. And there is a little bit of news going around that Barry Toohey said, I think Armstrong has potentially re-signing or going through some contract negotiations this week. So there is a chance that Fletcher Sharp comes in, especially after the loss as well. I do think that Armstrong's obviously showed that he's been close to their best player over the last month, and he did improve his score in the back end, but he was kind of on 2 or 3 for a lot of this game. So thankfully he pushed it out to a 24. But there's some news that Sharp potentially gets into this squad next week, which is pretty frustrating, but we'll have to make do with the information that we get and go from there. But 24 for him. Let's wait till next week. If you held Salmon all the way through, obviously it ended up pretty poor for you, 29 in and 9 missed tackles there. He was fairly slow even at edge before he moved out to the centres, but the full 80 minutes, you can't complain too much about, the opportunity. It's just that, the moving always seems to cook him, and he seems to miss a bunch of tackles every second or third week. Last week, he got the good score out of him. Hope you were able to bank it. And then this week, it was a 22. So, the 2 guys that we could have held this whole way in Salmon and Hughes both end up with pretty poor scores. And we've been waiting for my Papalangi to play, and he finally gets in there with the 21. Sammy Hughes, the 10, very, very frustrating on that standpoint in just the 14 minutes there. So he missed a couple of tackles, had a penalty as well. So it wasn't his best start to a game, that's for sure. But I suppose 10 is better than 0 that some people did get with Blaze Talangi there with the 10. So, yeah, not with the 0. So, not good there on that front. As I said, I won't be making too many ranks this week myself. Let me know where you're at after this game. It was I just had so many players, which was the big, cooker in that one for sure. For the Knights in SuperCoach, it was pretty low one across the board. Elliott with a nice game at 66. Kai Pearce-Paul second up at 58. Obviously pending offload updates and the like, but Dylan Lucas a 44 for him. Not super ideal. Obviously ended up with, didn't end up with the line break here in SuperCoach, which may update, but he did get it in fantasy. Usually it's the other way around. They give him in SuperCoach fairly easy and not the other way around. So yeah, strange how that one worked out. But Gagai with a 58 as well. Kai Pearce-Paul happy with the hold. I've got Brayley in my team. This is the head-to-head side, which did bring in Armstrong this week. So that was frustrating for sure. But the big miss out, obviously, Greg Marzu with 41 as well. Kind of low for a lot of these guys, which we may own. And some people would have brought in Dylan Lucas for sure, or Aiken this week there. And that didn't work out great. And obviously Daniel Saifidi going off only after a couple of minutes. So frustrating for him and hope that he's okay. For the doggies, it was just the big one there of Jacob Preston. So if you jumped on this week, the 2-try effort would have tipped you over the line. Reed Marnie 75 with a couple of tries, assist was good, and then Josh Curran 74 with the 1 try, and then just a tremendous effort in base stats for him with good run meters, 25 on that front in points, and then 3 tackle breaks, 26 tackles, no misses for him in SuperCoach. So there you go. Adokar with the 2-try effort, Seri with the 57. Max King still a solid 56. Salmon, if you hold on this long, 43 for him. He ended up getting a lot more points than he did in obviously fantasy, but 7 missed tackles. He only lose 7 points in that front, and he did get given a line break assist there in that one. Connor Tracy 49. Hutcho, if you held on, 43. Karaz with the 39 will go up to about 43 with the updates, and then obviously Wilson a 19. Sammy Hughes a 15. I don't think anyone has Curtis Moran, but it looks like Hughesy, Talangi, the 0 and the 15 are currently the scores that aren't going to be counting for my side, along with Armstrong at this stage for the head-to-head side, with an 88 and a 55 in that first one. It looks like Sean Lane's score will be counting with that 32. Not the end of the world, but not cracking either. There you go. That's the first 2 games done. We do have 2 games tonight, the Panthers and the Dragons, Dolphins and the Raiders following that. So make sure you set up your loops correctly in my head-to-head side, just to give you an idea of what I'm doing this week. I will be taking Kale Iroh's 43, so I've looped him in with Garrick there in that one. And then I'm just going to loop Cole as well. So I have the option to play either Strange or Cole in the half position. So I will see how Cole scores. If he scores well, I will keep the situation there with Galvin as my buy player in the half position. Auto emergency will come in, and so Iroh will come in for Garrick. Cole will come in for Galvin. If I don't like Cole's score, I'll change Strange in for Galvin there and take Strange's score instead. So if I think it's anything under 30, I think I'll take the risk on Strange. Anything above 30 is the number I think we'll stick with in that scenario. But not super happy with Hughes, Nicara with the 10 and the 33 in that one there. Don't have Salmon, obviously, but have Armstrong there with the 24. So thanks for tuning into this one, guys. I wish you all the luck heading into the 2 games tonight, and we'll see you for a review tomorrow.